I've just turned 41 and I've been doing a bit of reflecting on the last 20 or so adult years since I turned 18. And there are a few things that I probably regret and that have been a bit of a waste of time, or I've really not embraced life in the way that I should have. So if you're in your 20s or 30s, this video may be good for you. If you're in your 40s, 50s, or even older, then maybe some of this stuff resonates with you as regrets as well. Now, I left school at 16 with a clear plan on what I wanted to do, and that plan was undone within about 6 months. I went into college to learn to be an accountant and actually finished a year's worth of college, so moved into an accountancy practice as a trainee accountant and hated every minute of it. Did not enjoy it at all. I was really the only one of my friendship group of those guys that I grew up with that went into kind of an office role. A lot of them went into kind of manual labor jobs, that sort of stuff. And so it was boring, lonely, and I only did it because I thought accountancy was the path for me in terms of money. Fast forward a couple of years, and at the age of, 18, maybe 19, just about to be 19, fathered my first child. And whilst I wouldn't change that now, that really hampered or contributed to some of the regrets I have of some of the things I haven't been able to do as a young adult. In your 20s, you should absolutely be spending time on holiday, exploring the world, because what you don't realize at the time is things are the cheapest they're ever going to be for the most part. Usually the cost of things rises on an annual basis, whether that's travel, running a car, the stock market, all of those things. And I just wish I had someone, be it a parent or a friendship group, that really encouraged, having to do traveling and all of those things. Living in a different city. I've lived in Oxfordshire most of my life. I was born here. And whilst I spent a couple of years in Swindon and 6 months up in Manchester, for the most part, I've never really moved more than about 30 miles from where I was born. So first big regret, or first big piece of advice would be to absolutely spend your 20s traveling, seeing the world, exploring different cultures, experiencing different things. Get it all out of your system, because once you have children, that's the freedom for that really disappears and makes it much more difficult. It's not impossible, but it makes it much more difficult. And you're not only then relying on a partner to be on the same page, but also have a child in tow as well. Another thing I wish I didn't waste time getting to grips with was things like pensions and investing. I wish I was fortunate enough to have parents to teach me about money the same way that I am teaching my children. It's just, it's a huge frustration for me that I wasn't sat down one day and told the minute you get into work, as in full-time employment, you start putting money aside, whether that's for saving for a house, whether that's for saving for your pension or investing into the stock market. If only I would have done that, I would have caught the tech boom. I would have potentially got involved in things like Bitcoin. I'd have owned a house at a much earlier age. Please, if you're younger than I am, having just turned 41, please look into these things if you don't already know about them. Owning a house didn't happen for me until I was 39. I am in my first house. That house was ludicrously expensive because of the market here in Oxfordshire. But had I had the financial nous in my very early 20s to put some money aside to buy a house, I'd have been on the ladder much quicker. And who knows what sort of equity I could potentially have now. Having been a fairly high earner now, I could have paid off a huge chunk of my mortgage. I could be in a bigger house than I am now, or could have more equity to play with and less of a burden of mortgage around my neck. You don't realize until you get a bit older that those are the glory days. You don't know when you're in them. And I've seen a quote somewhere saying, if only you knew the glory days were there when you were living them, you would embrace them more. I don't have many regrets, but there are things that I wish I could do now and I will end up doing, but not until probably my 50s when I can soft retire. And so your 20s are great. You can go out drinking, you can bounce back the following day. All of that stuff disappears as you get older. So you can party wherever you want in the world and not be hungover for a week at a time. Well, there's more to life than partying, of course, but there are just lots and lots of things that you can do. The world over, me and my wife have been watching Race Across the World, which is a series that's been going for quite some time, but we've only just discovered it and we're just on the last series now. And some of the countries there are just beautiful. I wish, and it's very, it's a little bit cliche, but like You see the elephant sanctuaries or the pandas and stuff like that, and you just think, what an incredible experience. And I've laughed at people that have wanted to do stuff like that in the past. It's just so ridiculously immature and closed-minded of me. And I wish I could do it all now. I've got 5 daughters now. The youngest is 3. And so there is little hope of doing this anytime soon. So enjoy the fact that you have no bills, no dependents, and all of those things. You don't need to be squirreling away a huge emergency fund whilst you're living at home. Have a month's salary put aside just in case you lose your job. But for the most part, spend that money on experiences, do some investing so that you get the benefit of that later on, whether you're buying a first house, and in which case you use a lifetime ISA, whether you want to put money aside for retirement. And that may sound silly if you're in your 20s, saving for retirement that's potentially 40 years away. But let me tell you, those decades go quickly. And when you move from 20 into 40 and you realize I've made no provision for my retirement, you'll thank me for listening, or you'll kick yourself for not listening. It seems silly, but do something. Put something aside. Make sure you're putting in enough to maximize your employer contributions. What I mean by that is if you put in 5% and your employer will match 5%, then make sure you do that full 5%. If your employer has an option, which some of my previous ones have, for you to put in 8% and they'll put in maybe 10 or 12, then put in the 8%. Take as much free money out of your employers as you possibly can, even if it is for your future self. Whilst I think it's important to live your life and enjoy yourself in your younger days, don't waste your money on the cars and the branded clothing that you think makes you look good or think makes you look rich. Spend the money on experiences with people that you care about, because I've never been on a mate's holiday, for instance. I went on one with my best friend when I was like 20, and that was it. Never, ever done it again, which seems silly, right? The only time we ever go away now or get together is for like an annual Christmas get together, or if it's someone is getting married. That's it. The reality of growing up is you spend less and less time with your friends. You spend more and more time with your family, obviously. And so you don't realize the last time you may see a friend, or, as you get older, these things start to happen. Like health starts to play a factor. Spend time with your loved ones. Don't waste time doing things that you don't enjoy. Don't waste time in jobs that you don't enjoy. I say to my wife all the time, life is too short to be miserable every day at work. Do a job that you enjoy. Change careers often. Try as many careers as possible. If you're in your 20s, change career every year if you want to, until you find something you thoroughly enjoy. There's a cliche saying that says, if you find a job you love, you never work a day in your life, or something along those lines. And that's kind of true. I moved into tech, 6.5 years ago now. And for the most part, I genuinely love going to work. I now work fully remote, which certainly helps with that. There's a lot of benefits to working in a career or a job or an industry that you absolutely love and are passionate about. I spent 5 or 6 years in the charity sector and loved almost every minute of that as well. Felt like I was doing good. Every time I saved money for that charity, I felt like I was really adding to the cause. So spend some time working for a charity. Spend some time volunteering if you can. Don't let life pass you by. Life is very, very short. I'm only 41, and I say only, I'm probably at least halfway through my life already. And that, whilst I do have some regrets, I hope to be able to catch up and tick off some of those things long before I kick the bucket. Hopefully this has been somewhat useful to you. It was just a bit of a mind dump, really, or brain dump of things I've been thinking about and regrets and stuff I've had over the years. Let me know if that resonates with you and if that's interesting content. I'll be back with the normal financial stuff soon. See you next time.